Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bible Q&A. Today we're discussing why did the demons ask Jesus to enter the pigs? Mark chapter 5 verses 1 to 20 is one of the strangest stories in the Bible. Jesus takes a bunch of demons out of someone and then they ask to enter pigs only for them to run off the cliff and drown. What was the point of all that? Why did they need to enter a human and then a herd of pigs? And why did Jesus let them enter the pigs in the first place? Well, for as long as the physical world has existed, spirits have loved to control physical things. In 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 14, an evil spirit filled Saul after a good spirit had left him. A lying spirit entered Ahab's prophets in 1 Kings chapter 22 verse 22. They jump at the chance to enter people. They are basically like governments. There is a reason why almost every tribe and ethnicity on Earth is ruled by somebody, other than a group of indigenous people on India's North Sentinel Island who don't want to bother with all that. When a group of people come together, a power vacuum is created, and a government will have to fill it, whether it is run by the people themselves or somebody else. Jesus explained this phenomenon here. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept and garnished. Then goeth he, and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. Matthew chapter 12 verses 43 to 45. As soon as these spirits found Legion, they leapt at the opportunity to rule him. Unfortunately though, their government ran into Jesus, who was a much bigger power, according to 1 John chapter 4 verse 4, and as such they would have to go into exile. Just like Satan was exiled to the earth from heaven in Revelation chapter 12 verses 7 to 12 after another intervention from Jesus. However, a government in exile is meaningless if it can't one day come back to rule an area. Legion's spirits needed to directly govern something, and since Christ obviously wouldn't let them haunt someone else, they would have to settle for some animals. They chose pigs either because they felt Jesus wouldn't care about them, given that they were unclean, according to Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 8, or simply because they were the nearest big animals around. Why the pigs ended up drowning, and where the demons ended up afterwards, is anyone's guess. But let's look back at that Matthew chapter 12 verses 43 to 45. The style is clearly that of a parable, meaning that it's not just meant to describe a natural phenomenon. There's a lesson to learn. But what is it? Well, our brains are a vacuum, like Legion and the pigs were. You can either get rid of old beliefs and replace them with new ones, or simply not have a particular opinion on something at all. Spirits didn't enter everyone in the Old Testament after all. However, there is a chance that if you don't replace your beliefs with something else, eventually you'll just go back to your old ways. If your life hasn't improved since you quit gambling, you might continue to gamble, and gambling will eventually control you. If you haven't found a partner since you quit alcohol, you might go back to drinking, and beer will eventually control you. In the spiritual context, if someone's convinced you that your church's doctrines are untrue, but you don't really feel attached to theirs, you may go back to your old one, where all your friends and family still are. That's why many of Jesus' followers left in John chapter 6 verse 66. And given the saying, once bitten, twice shy, you are less likely to want to be converted out of the old church in the future. Thus, we have to ask ourselves what stage of life we're in. Are we being held back by our past? Are we happy with our present? Are we just floating in a vacuum? Wherever we are, we have to ask ourselves what we can and are willing to do to be better, so that we don't make the same mistakes in the future. You want those inner demons to stay in the pigs. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. Why did the demons ask Jesus to enter the pigs? It's because demons, like governments, want to fill a power vacuum and control people, but Jesus would only let them enter animals. Thank you for listening! Don't forget to like and subscribe!